You know, Wes, for this deep dive, I decided to wear my favorite Jesus shirt that I own, which is, Jesus riding what looks to me to be an Allosaurus.
A couple of things. One, I love that you know that that's an Allosaurus.
Absolutely.
Two, this outfit's really working. You can't see the rest of it, but it is.
Thank you.
Working, man.
That's nice of you. You can always tell an Allosaurus because it has 3 fingers. T-Rexes have 2 fingers. Easy little things.
There's a lot of life that doesn't have a solution you can just find online. So how do you know what to do when you don't know what to do?
Hey, welcome to the deep dive. Garrett and I are back again.
And discussing dinosaurs. My favorite. Anyway, so this week we talked about, obviously we've been saying, what do you do when you don't know what to do?
Right.
But this focus, because Joseph's story, the way it ends, oh my gosh. It's the greatest soap opera twist drama of he has the ability to punish his family for all the wrong that they did to him.
Years, decades.
Abuse and loss and pain and disappointment and imprisonment.
And he has all the authority to make them pay.
Oh, man. And he doesn't. He forgives them. And that, family reunion moment where they, hug each other and cry and weep with each other. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a crazy week because this is the focus on, instead of trying to pay people back, choose the peaceful path. Right, Wes?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, we're talking a lot about justice, I think, a little bit too here.
Yeah.
Because and this couldn't be a more timely topic because this is forefront in our culture in a million different ways, isn't it, Garrett?
That's right. It doesn't seem fair. I guess the way I would see it is the kind of justice I see happening in Joseph's story, at least the way it ends, doesn't seem right. These brothers got off the hook.
Yeah, we could not talk about this without talking about the ways that our culture has shaped us and formed us.
Okay.
Because, let's be honest, the whole notion that we live in a Christian nation doesn't always hold true.
I'm not sure we do.
Yeah, I don't think we do.
Yeah.
Our culture, not every part of our culture. There are some parts of our culture that are informed by Jesus and his kingdom. This is not one of them.
Right.
I think we do vengeance. I don't think we do what Jesus would describe as justice.
Yeah, so tell me that, because you used 2 R words before we've started filming this that I found only so interesting.
Yes, so you can read more about this at thebibleproject.com and search their Justice tab, and they've got an incredible resource that will help you go way more in depth and explain it really well.
Weekend homework for me. I'm excited about this.
Easter egg
and I'm
you.
Also a nerd. So
But they talk about the difference between restorative justice and retributive justice. Now, let's start with retributive justice, meaning that it's that justice is coming back around almost in a karmic fashion, that what you give out is what you get back, right?
Yeah, and actually what's weird is you could even take the Jewish scriptures, the Old Testament, where it says eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. We would, didn't God tell us to do that? Well, that was a measurement standard.
Right.
That was not his overall rule for how justice would work.
Well,
so it's interesting.
It's funny you mentioned that because almost every ancient law code that we have a copy of is a form of retributive justice. Hammurabi's code, probably the most famous. And that was literally an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You do something wrong happens to you.
Equal punishment for the crime you committed.
That's right.
Yep.
And there are some things that look like retributive justice. If you go back into the culture, it actually is really revolutionary for the time and place.
Yeah, this is why so much of the Old Testament is filled with, if your donkey got stolen, then you go take their donkey. You're like, what does this help me? It's actually very this was the mindset.
That's what we call restorative justice, actually. So restorative justice is the idea that we're not trying to, if justice was a pendulum and it swings to one side, retributive justice says we're going to swing it all the way back to the other side.
Okay.
Where restorative justice says we're going to bring balance back. We're going to set things as they should be.
Interesting.
Right? So the some of the law codes, if you read Leviticus, for example, my favorite example is the price for a servant that is gored by a bull. So if you have an employee and somebody else's bull kills them, the price for that to repay you for that servant, or is 30 pieces of silver. I love that because it pops up later in the Jesus story.
Don't get me started.
That's
what Judas got paid to turn Jesus in. Oh my gosh.
Gored, pierced. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of fun stuff.
Oh my gosh.
So I love that because what they're actually doing is they're trying to set things right. Remember, it's not exactly how we would do it because it's 10,000 years ago in a different culture at a different time with a different social conscience than we have today. Wow. The whole point there is you're trying to bring balance back, to establish equilibrium. This doesn't mean that consequences don't happen. Mm-hmm. If you kill someone, you still have there's still consequences and repercussions that you have to pay, and actually the Old Testament's really clear about that.
Yeah.
But there was even we talk about cities of refuge. There's this obscure piece of text is if you kill somebody accidentally, not premeditated murder, what we would call today, there was an opportunity for them to flee to a city and start their life over. That's restorative justice, right? Wow. Because the alternative would be that he would be a dangerous threat to everybody else, and he would get killed. There's opportunities there.
Well, number one, you are incredibly intelligent. Number two, the thing that is so, and I really mean that, that's so helpful because I find myself seeing and scrolling through, wondering, what does justice look like here? Every day, if it's not all the things we've already been reading about, but it's a new murder case happened or a new abuse happened, and you kind of wonder, who will make that right? Yeah. And is our system working to do that? What I love about restorative justice is it's kind of correcting, how could we prevent this later? It's almost dealing with people, not as pure math. Well, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. It's almost how do we get back to the people picture of this? Totally. What could prevent this crime from happening again?
Yes.
So you have to treat a human like a human. And that is just so profound.
Well, that's the thing. Retributive justice is so easy, Garrett.
Yeah.
It's
math, simple math, right?
It's very much Pearl Harbor and nuclear weapons, right?
Ooh, interesting.
We were attacked, therefore we're going to wipe out an entire group of people and make your land unlivable for the next 400 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
Retributive justice is, somebody was talking bad about me. I'm going to go find some nudes from when they were in 8th grade and recirculate them.
Whoa, bro.
That's right. We got real for a second.
Yeah, right.
That's retributive justice.
That's right. I can't help but want to share. It's Romans, one of the letters that Paul wrote to the early Christians.
In Rome.
In Rome. Makes sense, right? And he wrote to them these words, Romans 12:17, don't repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. If it's possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. That is so interesting.
Yeah.
That's the perspective of the first Christians was revenge and justice, restorative justice. That's God's work. And I'm doing my best to live at peace. I'm doing my best never that when evil's done to me, I don't return it back. That is such an interesting perspective.
There is a God responsibility and an us responsibility in this. Right. And I think often culturally we've been kind of shaped to take God's responsibility into our own hands.
Because at the end of the day, what justice really does make us feel good. If you start looking at your pain in life and someone did you wrong, is there really any amount of punishment that makes you feel good? How many people have ever taken justice into their own hands and when they did still feel the hole in their life? Even though I hurt them back, I may have killed them, I did something horrible, to get them back for what they did, it still left me hollow and empty.
Well, let's be honest. Retributive justice is just a cycle. Something was done wrong to me, so I'm going to do something that I can justify as right, but that is really wrong, that breaks community and connections between humans just as much as the first thing, which then just creates an ugly cycle.
Nowhere is this more relevant than in middle school and high school. I mean, at some level, all of us are when we're in middle school and high school, we're letting our emotions drive everything. We're letting our reactions, right? How many of us were rewarded for reacting today? Yeah. And we do retributive justice so quickly and try to pay people back and get them back. And I love that you use the example of well, they did this to me, so I'm going to find a picture of them and send it and make everyone see it. That is us trying to get at people.
I'm going to ruin their life. Yeah, I'm going to make them feel what I felt.
That's not how Jesus treats us when we wrong him. That's
so
the
true.
that's the catch. And so Wes, help me understand some more here.
So I love so we talk about retributive justice as just a cycle, right?
Yeah, right.
It's just pain upon pain upon pain upon pain. What I love about Jesus is that he not only does he like ask us to do restorative justice in our lives and be a part of those systems, he models it for us. So like, let me take you to John 18.
Okay.
Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane with his closest followers, right? They are praying, and all of a sudden, when it says when Jesus is finished praying, he crosses, and Judas knew that's where one of Jesus' favorite places to pray, leads like a detachment of soldiers and some officials from the chief priests and the Pharisees who are carrying torches, lanterns, and weapons. So here's what we have to understand. Jesus was somebody that the religious people didn't like. And that's a story for another day.
Right.
He's getting arrested. This is like a 3-year drama that plays throughout
They've
the
been
book
trying
of
to get him the whole
Gospels.
time,
They've
right?
been trying to get him and trap him and trick him. And they finally had enough. And so they find one of his closest followers, bribe him to betray him, bribe Judas to betray Jesus. Jesus is arrested, and then it tells us like if you know the story of Peter's denial, Jesus is taken to the high priest's father-in-law's house, I believe. This is Caiaphas's house. It's still standing.
Yeah, I've actually been
Israel
there.
as of high.
I've actually been there. Yeah.
And what you don't understand in this text is that Jesus, it's not like this was all due process and fair. This is not CSI.
Right.
What happens is Jesus is arrested under the cover of darkness. He is detained illegally overnight, given a trial that not all the right people were present at. If you go back and look at the regulations for Jewish law,
Such injustice.
they broke every rule. It was totally unjust.
Such injustice.
He was probably beaten that night as he was like tied and interrogated. The next day, he was handed over to the Roman government. The Roman government tries to get out of it, and the Jewish leaders then incite the crowd and use the pressure of the people and the political climate to get Jesus killed. He's again whipped and dies for crimes he did not commit.
Right.
Jesus was no stranger to injustice.
Yeah.
And he chooses that path anyways.
Yeah.
And then he's hanging on the cross. Like, this is just a microcosm, right?
Right.
He's hanging on the cross, and one of his last prayers is for the people who put him there.
Right.
It's for the government officials, for the Roman soldiers who are gambling over his clothes.
Wow.
And he asks for God to forgive them.
Yeah.
It's probably the most powerful story in all of human history of somebody choosing to give what was not deserved.
It's like he is in his death saying, don't you see, retributive justice doesn't work.
We have to break the cycle somewhere. And until the followers of Jesus, it was really normal for that cycle just to continue in different ways.
I mean, that is so beautiful. Help me end the cycle in my life. I'm watching this. I'm in this mindset. I'm in this mode. I want to be about the cross way of thinking about justice, not retributive justice. So how can we do that at home, in our life, in school, all of our friends?
Let's talk about our next steps.
Let's do it.
Garrett,
Next step.
I think the first one is just to make sure we understand justice.
Yeah.
Because there are these currents in our culture that demand that we swing the pendulum back, that we continue the cycle of retributive justice.
Yeah.
That if somebody has been an oppressor or somebody has been a part of injustice, that the only way to fix that problem is to create injustice for them.
Yeah, a couple practical things here is, if you get cheated on, do you get to cheat on them? Right? If your view of justice is, that's only fair, that's not justice. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, well, if they are going to be mean to me, then I'm going to go say crap about them. Yeah. No, that's not what we're talking about. Make sure that you have not borrowed a modern day cultural rewarded for reacting view of justice.
Yeah.
That is what we have to challenge in us right now. That is not helping us with the issues with racism, the issues with how we believe about how to handle COVID, church, and all these things. That's not helping us. We've got to have a proper Jesus level view of justice. That's so important.
Absolutely. We're choosing to break the cycle, following Jesus and giving what is not deserved and forgiveness.
Second step, we would ask you to study your own history. What if you laid out all the moments in your life where you deserved justice. You did something wrong. Maybe you got caught. Maybe you didn't. What if you were laid out to like the top 3 moments of your life where you did it wrong? It was bad. You hurt somebody. And next to it, would you write, what were the consequences for you? What happened to you?
Yeah.
And I would bet you, just like in my life, if you did that, what you're going to find is when you could have gotten worse punishment, you found grace. Yeah. When you could have gotten more bad happening to you because you kind of deserved it, you got mercy. Yeah. And I wonder what that would look like for you and I to just say, what does that teach us about justice? Did you getting paid back fully work for you? No, you didn't need that. What you needed was grace and mercy. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the third step I can take, Wesley?
Man, Garrett, this one is all your idea. Just to give God time. You had a passage for us.
I try to read this all the time because I can't help but find in it always the direction I need. It says in Psalm 37, verse 4, take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Oh, isn't that lovely? We love that verse. So it's like, oh, if I worship Jesus, he's going to give me what I want. Actually, what it means is if God is what you want in life, you're in luck because he's everywhere. That's actually what it says. It's if your delight is in God, well, guess what? You're going to have the desire of your heart every day because he's with you. The next line is the verse we often don't read. Take delight in the Lord because you should commit your way to the Lord. Verse 5, trust in him, and this is what he's going to do for you. Verse 6, he will make your righteousness shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun. You know, in this whole series, we talked about pain. If you've been wronged, if an injustice has been done to you, if someone has mistreated you, you might be in a place where you go, you guys don't understand. This person has wronged me in a way they could never pay me back. This person has hurt me in a way they could never say sorry enough for, and I don't have enough grace and mercy to give them. Then you know what God says to do? Give justice to him. You know what God says? Wait on him. What basically we want to ask you to do is give God time. If you put revenge in your hands, you'll never do it the justice it deserves. But if you'll give God time, he can make people struggle and squirm in ways you and I never could. So if really what you want is for them to feel the hurt they've caused, do not put it in your own hands. Would you try? Would you instead get closer to God? Delight in God and commit your way to God and watch him do this. He makes your righteousness shine and your vindication glow like the noonday sun. We must give God time.
Ultimately, choosing forgiveness over vengeance is choosing to trust God.
That's what it is. Every single time.
Give God time. So we're gonna make sure we understand justice, that we're not borrowing modern philosophy, that we're following Jesus.
Yep.
We're gonna make sure we're studying our own history.
That's right.
And we're gonna make sure we give God time this week.
What a deep dive that was.
Indeed.